Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Tank be chopping, and I'm back with another haircut tutorial. Alright guys, what we gonna be doing on this cut is a mid fade. He didn't know he was gonna trim the top, but we did trim the top, you know what I'm saying? He wasn't sure at this moment in time. He wanted to see the haircut first. So we're doing a mid fade, comb over, hard part. So let's go ahead and get into this haircut. So as you can see what your boy is doing right now, I have my number 4 on my Stylecraft Rebel. And what I'm doing now is just basically debulking the sides, just giving myself a level playing field. And as y'all can see, the closer I get to that parietal ridge, I start to just float my clipper up and away. That way I don't leave too much of a harsh line, and it makes the sides easier to connect to the top. And as you can see here, guys, I'm using my comb to help feed in some of that hair. You know, sometimes people's hair is a little tricky and stubborn, like it doesn't want to go into the clipper. So sometimes you got to use your comb to feed that hair into the clipper. And we're gonna do the 4 all the way, well, not all the way around, because on the left side where we put the part, my client likes that side of the part shorter. So what I'm gonna be doing on this left side is I'm gonna be using a number 2 guard, and I'm gonna come right up to that line. And I know a lot of people say that's not the best way to do this haircut, or people say that it does not look good. But hey, my client likes it short, up to the part, so that's what I'm gonna do. And you know what I'm saying? Like I said, a lot of people don't like it that way, or not that they don't like it, but they say it doesn't look well. Now I think it does look nice when you have the longer hair and you comb it down. But like I said, some people don't even want to deal with that. They just want to just wake up and comb their hair over, not have to worry about parting it and comb that hair down. Therefore, I think cutting it down to a shorter length is good in that situation. Alright, so I'm still taking that number 2 guard, and I'm going over the rest of the sides. And the reason why I'm doing that is just trying to make this haircut a little easier for me. Still debulking the sides. Like I guess you can say I am kind of fading this into that number 4 just by using a slight flick out motion and floating my clipper. But I'm not really focused on, you know, taking my time to fade this into the number 4. I'm just really debulking the sides. That way I can have just an even playing field ready to go. Alright, so now that is done, I'm taking my Barber Low Pro FX trimmers, and what I'm doing here is I'm setting in my bald guideline. And like I said, guys, we are doing a mid fade. Y'all know how I like to do it. I like to drop my fades down in the back slightly, and also as y'all can see in the front, I'm leaving a little bit of hair, that way I can do that ghost line in the C cup. And then what we did to the left side, we gotta do to the right side. So that's basically what I'm doing here. Is I'm just doing the same thing I did to the left side, and then I'm gonna connect both sides in the back. Yeah, check out that Stylecraft brush though. Hey, like that's probably one of the most underrated brushes like I've ever used. Probably one of the best brushes I've ever used. Like, I didn't even know I needed it until they sent it to me and I started using it. And I was like, man, this brush, man, it's one of the best brushes I've ever used. Alright, so now your boy's going in with that Barber FX3 shaver. And I'm just going right up to that initial bald guideline. However, the closer I get to that line, the more pressure that I start to relieve from the shaver to my client's head, and I start using a flick out motion. Now, once again, guys, when I do the shaver, I do like to come all the way up to that line. And I know some people don't, but I like to. And the reason why I like to, I just feel it gives a better gradient look, and it's gonna last the haircut. It's gonna last the client. It's gonna make the haircut last. I don't know what I was trying to say there, but yeah, it's gonna make the haircut last. So now I'm going in with my Stylecraft Rebel once again, and I have my lever all the way open, and I'm setting in my next guideline. And this guideline is going to be anywhere between 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch, give or take. You know, everybody's, you know, I say 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch, but everybody's inch in their head, or 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch in their head, is different. So in my head, this is about 3/4 inch. So I'm coming up using a slight flick out motion, setting in my next panel. And then once that panel is set, what I'm gonna start doing is fading that panel out. Meaning I'm gonna close my lever halfway, come halfway into this section, and then I'm gonna close my lever notch by notch, and every time that I close my lever, I'm gonna come down a little lower towards that bottom line. So by the time my lever is all the way closed, I should basically be working at that bottom line. Now, you don't have to do these steps this way. You can actually do them the opposite way, meaning you could set in your guideline with the lever open, and then start at the bottom of this section with your lever closed and open it notch by notch until you reach the top line. This is just the way I like to do it. I have been experimenting with this doing it the opposite way here recently, and they both work good. It's just based on preference, what you like to do and what works better and more efficiently for you.
Let's get it.
So people have been asking me about these Stylecraft Rebels, what I think about them, and so far I'm really liking the way they cut. I'm not a fan of how light they are. I'm still trying to get used to the lightness of them. Now, mind you, when I start using them throughout the day, I do get pretty used to it, but I just like a heavier clipper. But other than that, I think they work really good. They get the job done, and I think it has a lot to do with the motor and that fusion blade. Like, that fusion blade is probably the GOAT blade to me. That's just my personal opinion. So now I'm going in with my one guard. Lever is all the way open, and as you can see, I'm coming right to that parietal ridge area, and I'm stopping. I am using a slight flick out motion, that way it don't create too harsh of a line, and basically this line here in the middle or at the top of that section is going to be faded out with my 1.5 guard. But as you can see, what I just did there was I closed my lever and I'm attacking the bottom of that section. And it's not going to take that line completely out. It's just going to soften that line a little bit. But I'm going to have to come back in with my 0 guard or my 1/16 guard to take out that line. And that's what I'm doing here with my 1/16. So when I start off my 1/16, most of the time I start off with the lever halfway open. And I just start attacking that line, and if it doesn't get that line out, then I just close my lever notch by notch and just do some lever play to get that line out. Sometimes you won't need to close your lever all the way. Sometimes just going in with the lever halfway open gets that line completely out. It's really just dependent on the density of your client's head or the density of the client's hair, you know what I'm saying, the way their hair fades and the hair texture. And sometimes it'll come out and sometimes it won't. So now I'm going in with my 1.5 guard. Lever is open, and I'm just cleaning up the top of this guideline that y'all see here that I previously created. And as you can see, it is fading into the top. So I'm still using a flick out motion, that way I don't leave a harsh line. And then I'm going to close my lever and come right below what I'm doing now. And even though technically that means I'm done with my initial steps, I'm not done with this part of the fade. I still have some detail work to do, and I'm gonna do that once I'm done with this. And then I also noticed when I was done with this part of the fade that I wanted to stretch that fade out a little more. So I'm not just going in and detailing. Here what I'm doing is I'm actually detailing, and I'm also raising my fade up. So as you can see, I'm coming a little higher than I did previously with this one guard. And like I said, guys, the reason for that is I wanted to raise my fade and stretch my fade out a little more because his hair is so dense. I just felt that it wasn't giving a nice gradient look, so I had to stretch that fade out a little more. So I'm doing the same thing with my 1/16 guard. Lever is all the way open, and once again, guys, I'm coming a little higher than what I previously did, and as you saw me just do there, I closed my lever halfway, but I'm coming a little higher than what I previously did. And once again, the reason for that is I'm trying to stretch this fade out a little bit. I felt that it looked too compressed in some spots, too dark in some spots, so I needed to, like I said, stretch this fade out. And now I'm going in just with my lever open, and I'm adjusting my lever as needed to get rid of the rest of these discrepancies at the bottom of this fade. And remember, guys, when you're doing this part of the haircut, or when you're doing any part of the haircut, you don't want to like stare too hard at it for too long, because your eyes will start to play tricks on you, and you are going to have to look away for a little bit. Like maybe move on to the edge up, move on to the opposite side of the head, you know, worry about another part of the haircut, and then come back to the haircut or the part that you felt that was giving you a hard time. And sometimes that'll help refresh your eyes a little bit, and it'll help you see the haircut a little better. So now I'm moving on to the lineup. I'm using my Low Pro FX trimmers. Shout out to my boy Dennis Joseph from Babyliss sending me these trimmers. Now sometimes I say Babyliss, sometimes I say Babyless. It's the same thing, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes I feel like saying babyless and sometimes I feel like saying babulous. But nonetheless, I'm using my Low Pro FX trimmers, lining my client up, trying to make this line nice and sharp. Setting that C cup in. And then once this is done, I'm going back in and doing some more detail work. So when it comes to detailing, guys, you can use any guard you feel is needed to get that blend to look the way you want it to look. And you can spend as much time as you feel is needed to get that blend to look good. Alright, so now I'm setting in the hard part. And these are the FX3 trimmers, and I like to use these for parts, guys. I said it before, when I do hard parts or little designs, I like to use these trimmers. Like I don't know why, maybe because I feel like the blade is a little thinner. I don't know if it is, that's just me thinking it is. And I just feel that it's real precise, so I like using that for the hard parts and for little designs. Alright guys, but nonetheless, we finished the left side of the haircut, so now we're moving on to the right side of the haircut, and the same thing we did to the left side, we're doing to the right side. The only difference is, instead of fading into a 2 guard, we technically have to fade into that number 4 guard, which fades into the longer hair on top. So you will see me doing some extra steps, but my initial steps are going to be the same thing. I'm going to fade all the way up to my 2 guard. And then we'll basically be on my 2 guard. So I'll walk y'all through it as I'm doing it. Y'all seen me do my lever open, and I faded that section out. This is my 1 guard lever open, which makes it a 1.5. And then I'm gonna fade this section out by closing my lever and attacking that bottom line. And once again, that's not gonna fade this section completely out. So I'm gonna have to come in with my 0 guard or my 1/16 guard. And that's what I'm doing now. And remember guys, I start off with my lever halfway open when I use my 0 guard. Most of the time. Sometimes I'll do it all the way open, but most of the time I just start off with it halfway open. And then I closed it, and now I'm going in with my 1.5 guard, lever open, and then I'm gonna close it and come right below what I just did. And then now I'm gonna start doing some down fading. So I know the biggest clip I used previously on this side of the haircut was the number 4. So the length below that is my number 3. So I put my number 3 guard on my clipper. I opened the lever all the way up. I lost my train of thought for a second. I opened my lever all the way up, and then I closed it. And now I'm going in with my number 2 guard open, and then I'm gonna close it right below that. And then technically, for the most part, my steps are done. However, there still may be some discrepancies, still may be some dark spots that I need to take care of. So I'm gonna go back in and detail it as needed, and then I'll line him up and then go back and detail it if I still need to detail it some more. Alright guys, so I detailed this side of the haircut, and I still felt that I needed to, fade this longer hair into the sides a little bit more. So what I'm doing now is I'm going in with my blending shears, and I'm just attacking the ends of those longer hairs, trying to get it to blend a little better. And it still was giving me a little bit of, a little issue. So now I'm going in with just my regular shears, using some shear over comb. And I needed to knock off a little bit of length, so that's what I did with my regular shears. And now I'm going back in. I'm actually using my longer guards. I don't normally do this, but once again, I decided to do it this time because I felt that it was needed, just to give that effect that I was looking for. And like I said, guys, we are trimming the top. We didn't trim it at the beginning of my client's haircut. Most of the time I trim the top first, but the reason why we didn't do it, because he wasn't sure if he wanted to trim the top. He was still, debating if he wanted to trim it. He wanted to see how it looked faded in before we trimmed it. So he decided, once I faded it in, he looked at it, he said, yeah, go ahead and take a little bit off. So as you can see, I'm setting in my guideline coming forward. And now I'm going to use that guideline coming back, but setting my sections the opposite way. So as you can see, there'll be little pieces of hair or little bits of hair longer than my initial guideline, and that's the hair that I'm cutting off. And then that's gonna be basically like my traveling guideline to continue the right side of his head. And then I'm still gonna use that middle guideline on the left side of his head. That's what you see me doing right now. Alright guys, check it out. This is how my client walked into the shop looking. This is the before look. And this is the after. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this haircut in the comment section. If y'all like this video, please make sure to smash that like button. Also, if you're new to my channel, make sure to subscribe one time for your boy. Remember guys, if you're in the Houston, Texas area and you want a haircut from your boy, you can go to my website, tankbechopping.com. You can book an appointment right there. And if you want me to do it for YouTube, make sure you leave that in the little notes section. But once again guys, that's the Houston, Texas area, so you got to be in the Houston, Texas area. And that's basically it for this video, YouTube. I appreciate y'all for watching. Until next time, let's go.